let's start with you introducing yourself. Tell us who you are and where you are at in the indie birth and midwifery school.
Yeah, hey guys. So my name is Petra. I'm a former nurse, which is really makes it even more exciting for me to be here. This is a long time in the making for me. I also have a background as a birth doula, postpartum doula, and I'm kind of just starting out what I've been referring to as the meat and potatoes of the course. It just kind of started the foundations course. So I'm almost in unit two, and I'm just super excited to really get going.
That's awesome. Cool. So, could you paint me a picture of sort of where you were at before you started the school and then what made you take the leap into enrolling with us?
Oh, yeah. Um, I was in a much different world as far as approach to birth philosophies. And it was very out of alignment with my own. I was specializing in OB triage at the time in an outpatient facility. And so I was dealing with a lot of emergency calls and um, a lot of heavy things and testing. And I was responsible for a lot. And at first, I kind of was like, wow, this is it. Like, this is what I wanted to do. I'm back in like
Mhm.
OB. It had been like a few years since I was in OB. And so at first it was like, wow, I finally have like all this responsibility and I get to connect with people. And I really quickly was reminded or realized rather how far off my actual path I was.
Mhm.
And so I was really in this like kind of like turmoil for a while and trying to figure it all out. I experienced like my own loss, and there were so many contributing factors that kind of like set me up for all of this. And so, yeah, I had been planning a home birth. Um, I had my daughter. I went through COVID, through working through COVID through the medical field. And that was really like what set me kind of off. That was like really when I started thinking like, what am I going to do, because I cannot do this forever. And it was like kind of hard going from thinking that you finally found like
Mhm.
where you fit in and like, wow, I can retire from here, like this is so great, to being like, this is not who I am
Yeah.
at all.
Oh,
So
shoot.
so yeah, so like so many of us have felt and so I did like start my own birth doula thing, and so that has always been really great. But it just like wasn't enough. And to keep me, especially doing what I was doing, you know, 40 plus hours a week. Um, and so when I got pregnant with my son, I knew that I wanted a home birth and I was planning a home birth. And so I was faced with all this other um, difficult conversations around everything. I was like very tried to be very quiet about the fact that I was planning a home birth while working so closely with some doctors who, of course, were just used to fear and living in that fear and working and preaching about that kind of model of care.
Mhm.
So, as fate would have it, um, my office got hit by a flood, like a major flood. And yeah, and so it was coming up to the time where I didn't know if I, as a nurse, was going to have a job in my state because of the mandates that were coming into effect soon. And it was just perfectly timed as always. And I kind of got to walk away and have my home birth. And I went through my own struggles with that, with healing from that. But just maybe 2, 3 months later, I was sitting on my couch with my new baby, and my husband came into my living room and was like, "You have got to listen to this interview. There's this midwife that you just have to listen to this lady talk." And I was like, I was like, all right, fine. I'm up with the baby until I'm up with him until 2 in the morning right now. Anyway, he was a terrible sleeper. So yeah, I listened to Marin's interview and I just like, it just, everything just immediately aligned. And I just like, this door was just open for me that I just had no idea existed. I was just like swept away with the fact that there are other options that I just had no idea. I had actually tried to go for my CNM. I had gone back to school years ago to continue for my RN and then to go into nurse midwifery.
Hmm.
And the universe did not want me to do that because I had some really crazy things come up that just totally prevented it from happening. And looking back, again, just like divine timing and like everything happening for a reason. I'm just so grateful for all of it, even the crazy stuff. And yeah, so that's really how I found indie birth. And I spent like a year really getting into like the mighty networks, the community online. And I started out in mighty networks really as a mom, and just supporting other people and with their questions and getting a tremendous amount of support from the community. And I just started following indie birth and listening to podcasts and reading the articles. And I think I read the curriculum like at least 3 times over. And I probably researched more than the average person um, before going to the answering the call retreat in January on Oahu. And I kind of at that point already knew. I think I just wanted to really meet you and Marin in person, just to see
Yeah.
you guys in person and just have that experience. But I ended up registering for the program before I left Oahu. I was ready for it.
You're ready. That's amazing. I love what you said about like listening to the interview Marin did and feeling so aligned from that, like that spark of like, oh, this is it. This is who I've been kind of like waiting for. Um, or like the philosophy that's been kind of missing. And I think it just is so powerful. I've been thinking a lot about like how powerful each of our individual voices are, And so I'm curious as an indie birth midwifery school student, like how that translates, because I know that's something we've really tried to infuse into our curriculum is that like your voice is important as a student and we want to encourage our students to also like write and make podcasts and make videos and create and whether that's online or in person, like just really wanting to make sure each student really investigates and explores their unique thing, their magic that they bring to the table. So I'm curious if that's translated for you, and if so, like what that's been like for you in the program, in finding your voice.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm like not this person that puts myself out on the internet. Like I don't like seeing my face out there. I'm a super big introvert, and I like my privacy. And I really like to connect personally, like one on one with people in person or in small groups. Like I'm more of a corresponder as opposed to a broadcaster.
Mm,
Somebody actually like put that in out there, and I was like, that
interesting.
makes a lot of sense for me.
Yeah.
Um, and so what this has really brought out is like my creative ability, um, and my confidence to do that. So, like, the more projects that we get that I have the opportunity to make a video, I make a point to make a video because I want to be able to expand. And I think that, like, the best part is that you don't have to make a video. The format is solely like you've kind of given everybody like these tools and said, hey, like, you could do this, which would be really cool. Or, like, there's a podcast. Or if you're more of a writer, stick with the writing. Like no worries. And like people have the ability to do what they feel more comfortable with or do what they are not so comfortable with, like I've done, and like try to kind
Yeah.
of build on that. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of options.
Awesome. Yeah, I wondered if you wanted to speak to that piece at all, just like, the fact that our school, if people listening don't know this, is not a school where we use grades. We just have people finish their final projects, we give feedback, and then they've completed that piece of the curriculum. They've completed that course. So how has that been for you coming from, a nursing background where you very much, I'm sure, were in the letter grade kind of
Yeah.
mainstream educational model?
So it's funny because I'm actually like one of those people that enjoy tests and I do like
Yeah.
that feedback. So like this is super new and different for me also. And I enjoy this a lot more than I anticipated because exactly what I was saying, like I connect more personally one on one and to have that like direct intentional feedback and like not have somebody just with a big red marker just cross go through your paper is it makes it more personal and intentional and it puts it into like this completely different perspective like hey, we're all here for the same reasons and we all have like creative things that we can contribute, but there's a gentler way to say maybe you can think about this or see things from this lens instead of like where you're coming from. So it's a lot less stressful.
That's awesome
Yeah.
for sharing that. So if somebody out there is considering the indie birth midwifery school and they're weighing their options and they're wondering kind of what to expect, what they should think about, you know, just trying to suss it out for themselves, what advice would you have for that person?
I think that the biggest thing is just like knowing when you're ready, but knowing that the way that the school is structured is so helpful and like set up for you to be able to succeed at it. Whereas opposed to like traditional conventional schooling and education is just, when I went through nursing school, it was 1 year straight through. You did not have any breaks Monday through Friday. And like there was no, it was just one speed go. And if you didn't catch up, like you didn't catch up. If you missed your hours, you missed your hours. And this is just set up in a way that like we want you to get there. We want you to understand the material and like and the support that you get in that also, is as far as I've seen second to none, even coming from, working one on one with nursing instructors because I can write an email out to you or to Marin and say, hey, I'm not really like sure what this is about, and like I know that I'm going to get a response. As a matter of fact, when I found Marin on that interview, I think like that night I sent out this like just elated email. Then I was like, sister, where have you been all my life? I
Mm,
can't believe that this is a real thing, and I didn't expect to get a response. And I did. And like, there's real people here
mm,
that want, we all have the same goals, so it's been, it's been nice. It's been a nice change.
that's awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to share with these theoretical people out there on the internet who may be wondering the same thing, like, sister, where have you been my whole life? Like they might be feeling that way right now listening to you. Like, is there anything else you want to share with that person before we sign off?
Oh, just keep at it and follow your heart. You're called to what you're called to for a reason, and the road is long and it's not always easy, but you have so much support. You have so much more support than you really even understand looking, as a prospective student. And, once you're here, it's easier to kind of grasp that. But
Mm, yeah, I totally get that. Kind of like you gotta see it to believe it.
yeah, yeah, totally.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Where could people find you if they wanted to, like on the socials?
Oh boy. My social, well, my website is earthsidebirth.org, and all of my contact information is there. I'm not on Facebook. I said goodbye to Facebook and did not look back. If I need to in the future, perhaps for business purposes, I'm not sure, but hopefully Instagram will suffice.
Yeah,
But that information is on my website. It's Petricola florlatiformis. And if
it's
you
a lot
don't
of
know
letters.
what that is, if you're not like into marine biology, you won't understand that at all. So
So earth.org.
earthsidebirth.org. Yeah.
And if you want to check out the midwifery school we've been talking about, you can go to indiebirthmidwiferyschool.org.
Yeah. Please do.
Thank you so much, Petra.
My pleasure.